Welcome to Elliot's PT podcast. I'm here to help you find your balance and live your best life guilt-free. I don't believe there is a one-size-fits-all approach for health and fitness. We're all different and we need to find out what works for us. I'm passionate about helping people make realistic, long-term lifestyle changes that they will stick to and they will take with them forever. I don't believe in crazy diets or short-term fixes. We all need to live and find a perfect balance in diet and exercise that suits our individual needs. I want to help you find your exercise mojo, feel great and achieve wonderful things. Here is Elliot's PT podcast by Renee Elliott. Hello, and welcome back to Elliot's PT podcast. Today I wanted to talk about something that I think is quite overlooked into how it can affect us females, and it's something that I didn't really pay much attention to until the last year or so, and once I started paying attention to it, I couldn't believe the difference it made in my life. So I want to talk about our menstrual cycle and how it actually affects our mood and how it can affect how you exercise and how you're actually feeling. So this was something that I'd heard about, but I didn't really pay much attention. For me personally, I have a regular cycle. My period doesn't really bother me, as in I don't get bad cramping or anything like that. So my period comes and goes. So I didn't really think that it affected, I didn't really look into it because I didn't think it affected me that much. But once I actually started to look into it a little bit more, I started paying attention to my cycle and recording stuff down. I actually realized I had quite significant symptoms. For somebody that, I had significant symptoms that I didn't really realize, because my personality is the type of personality that you just got to just get it done and push through. So I think I was doing that and I wasn't really listening to my body. And once I started listening, I realized that I was actually having quite a lot of dips up and down. And now I can understand that and I can not be so hard on myself. It's great. It's such a, so glad that I have the understanding now and I can apply it. I've been able to apply this to a lot of my clients, and we've been able to talk about it and we've been able to work out where they are at with their cycle. And lots of people may be on a contraceptive and they don't get a regular period, or they are in menopause, going in between, or they've had a hysterectomy so they don't get it. But no matter what stage in life you're at, this does apply to you, and it has a significant. It really does affect your body, even though you may think it's not. So everybody that we've been able to work, no matter what stage you're in, hysterectomy, menopause, on some form of contraceptive, don't have a regular cycle, we've been able to plan it out, and we've been able to work out a cycle, and it's then made them be able to understand their bodies a bit more and be kinder to themselves. And really that's what it's all about. When you can understand yourself more, you can not beat yourself up about things, you can understand why it's not that your exercise program that you're doing isn't working or you're not getting the results you want. It's just because at this time you may be a little bit hormonally challenged. That's just the phase you're at this week, and you'll be fine in a week or so. The more understanding that you have of your cycle, the more that you can prepare for things, or you can be prepared for how you're going to feel, and you can adjust your exercise and your food and everything else to work for you in that time. So just to go over, there are 5 cycles, 5 phases. So there's your menstruation, there's a follicular phase, there's ovulation, the luteal phase, and the secretory phase. Okay, so that's your 5 phases of your cycle. So there's a lot more going on than just getting your period for a week and then moving on. Your menstrual cycle actually starts on the very first day of your period, and then it ends when your next period begins. So hormone signals are sent back and forth between the brain and your ovaries, and the first part of your cycle prepares your egg to be released from the ovary, and it builds the lining of the uterus, and the second part of the cycle prepares your uterus and body to accept a fertilized egg or to start the next cycle of pregnancy if it doesn't happen. I'm going to explain what happens in each cycle, but then we're going to just make a presumption that of a 28-day cycle. So there's no right or wrong. It's working out what works for you. Okay, so the first menstruation is your first phase, and so that's just shedding of the uterine lining. Okay, so your levels of estrogen and progesterone are going to be low. Now, I'm just going to quickly go over what estrogen and progesterone do in your body and how they can affect you. So again, it's good to have this understanding. So estrogen, its primary function is the development of your female secondary sexual characteristics, and in men, it helps mature their sperm and maintenance of a healthy libido. It affects your reproductive tract, urinary tract, heart and blood vessels, and your bones. So it contributes to like your cognitive health, your bone health, the function of the cardiovascular system, and other essential body processes. So if you have low estrogen, it can affect your sexual development and your sexual function, and it can also increase your risk of obesity, osteoporosis, and cardiovascular disease. And if your estrogen is too high, it can cause hot flushes, dry skin, night sweats, vaginal dryness, low sex drive, weight gain, PMS, fatigue, depression, and anxiety. So that's something just to be aware of. Now, the other hormone that is playing a lot in these phases is your progesterone. And so this helps regulate your cycle, but its main job is to get your uterus ready for pregnancy. So after ovulation each month, if it helps thicken the lining of the uterus to prepare it for a fertilized egg. If there's no egg, then the progesterone levels drop and your menstruation begins. Okay, so symptoms of low progesterone would be migraines, headaches, vaginal dryness, abdominal pain, sore breasts, spotting between periods, low libido, and low blood sugar. And symptoms of maybe if you are high in progesterone, bloating, fatigue, anxiety, weight gain, depression, breast tenderness, and swelling. So that's just some things to take into account of how the progesterone and estrogen levels affect your body. Okay, so we're going to go back and talk about the phases and how they can affect your body, your mood, and what things you can do around those things. So going back to your the menstruation phase, so it is the shedding of the uterine lining, and your levels of estrogen and progesterone are generally low during this phase. It can last between 3 to 7 days, and during the phase you're going to find that you're probably less productive. You're a little bit more sluggish during this phase of your cycle, and that's perfectly normal. The bleeding and cramping aren't solely to blame, but your hormone levels are low during this phase. During your period, your estrogen levels, they rise slightly and your progesterone levels dip. So if you feel like wanting to lay low during this phase, don't fight the urge. It's essential to listen to your body and to practice your self-care, and know that you may be a bit more fatigued during this phase. During this phase, if like some people, you do feel sluggish, they feel like not working out, maybe you do need to prioritize your sleep over this phase. But understanding that you could, when you were going to the gym, you could go lighter in your weight. You don't need to pick up as heavy a weight. It doesn't mean that you're weaker. It means that you're listening to your body during this time. So other things you can do to maximize your time during this time, you could say no to making plans or rescheduling existing commitments, because you might not feel like being around as many people. So you could be like, I just know roughly around this time I prefer to spend time on my own than be in big crowds. You might not think about reprioritize your work tasks, so make sure you have a lighter schedule so you can plan your week out or your month out. So I know that roughly during this time I'm going to be a bit more fatigued, so in another phase I am going to get a lot more work done, and that's okay, because in a month it will all work out. And how else can you maximize time is prioritize sleep. If your body needs a rest, get some extra sleep. Don't burn the candle at both ends, and really listen to your body. And when you start tuning in and listen to your body a lot more, you'll notice massive differences in how you can be kind to yourself. So if you're going, oh, I've just got my period. Why can't I do, not do as much as what I could, last, a couple of weeks ago? Well, it's not because you've got weaker. It's just because you're at this phase of your cycle. So it's definitely it given me a lot better knowledge about my body and how my body functions. And now I do adjust lots of things to suit where my cycle's at and how I'm feeling. So the next stage is the follicular phase. So this is the time between your first period and your ovulation. So your estrogen levels are rising and the egg is being prepared to release during this cycle. So, and this cycle can last last for, everything's you need to just understand the phases and then listen to your body and then work out what works for you. But this can last for, 1 week, 10 days, up to 2 weeks. So during a lot is actually going on for your body during this point of your cycle, but you're feeling pretty good. So the rise of estrogen levels, they've caused a spike in your energy. So this is the time or the week that you would be wanting to really increase your productivity. So this would be the week that you would want to say yes to lots of to more tasks, going out, doing those things, because you're going to feel better doing it. You're going to maybe add some extra things on your to-do list because you're going to do it. Or this week I'm going to pump these things out this week because I know I'm hormonally in a better phase. So if you were planning it, you could plan to do a lot more in this week because you're going to feel better, you're going to get it done. And then when the weeks that you do feel a bit flatter, you don't. You know that you did it in the weeks when you're feeling great. You could definitely ramp up your exercise routine. So this would be the time that you would be trying to lift a heavier weight because you know that you are hormonally at a better chance. You could put more time into some more complex projects. You could definitely complete the tasks that you'd pushed aside the previous weeks because you weren't feeling the best for it. And this is definitely a more social time. So, understanding that when you're in this cycle, I personally do know, okay, so this is the phase I'm roughly in. I am going to plan more tasks this week. I am going to get that stuff done. So if I do feel a bit flatter, I have it done. Before I started tracking my cycle, I didn't realize that I had big dips because I just pushed through everything. So now that I can prepare in the weeks where I'm feeling better, I can get a lot more done in that week and know that if I'm feeling flatter towards the end of the month, then that's okay because I got more done. I also kinded to myself with exercise. So I don't think that I don't think, why am I struggling so much? Like I'll be like, this is how I'm feeling. I just don't need to push myself, and that's okay. So the more understanding you have, like I said, the better it is for you. So the next phase we're going to talk about is ovulation. So some people, everyone's different, but some people can actually tell you the exact pinpoint the time that they're doing it. That's amazing. So your ovulation is the release of your egg from your ovary. So it's your mid-cycle. Your estrogen level is peaking. So it's peaking just before you get to this phase, and then it's going to drop shortly afterwards. Okay. So the days leading up to ovulation, your body is experiencing a surge in the luteinizing hormone, which gives the ovary the go-ahead to release the egg. So estrogen and your testosterone levels are also at peaking during ovulation. So you might notice, that's how you might notice that you actually feel a bit different on ovulation day. So it's typically day 14 on a 28-day cycle. If we had, it typically does last 24 hours. But again, the more you need to track it and work it out yourself and see how it applies to you and your body, because we're all different. So there's no, but that peak in estrogen may mean you feel more energetic than usual, and the elevated testosterone levels can also cause you to have an increase in extroversion. So just again, be aware and see how it applies to you and how it makes you feel. So so how can you maximize your time during this phase? Well, if you were looking to have a baby, this could be the perfect time to do it. You could be engaging in more challenging conversations that you've been a bit hesitant to have. You are still feeling quite good to spend time in groups or attend more social events. And you're still feeling great to get on with work related, different tasks or projects or things that you've maybe been putting off. So this is still, we're still feeling quite good here. So the next phase is the luteal phase. So this phase is the time between ovulation and menstruation. So it's also known as the second half of your cycle. So it most commonly occurs between days 15 and 28. So yeah, we're all different. So your body will obviously react to the luteal phase depending on whether you're pregnant or not, or whether pregnancy has occurred. If you haven't conceived, then there is a rapid decrease in progesterone levels that could lead you feeling sluggish physically and mentally. So those pesky PMS symptoms may also start popping up, making you feel more inclined to curl up on the couch than get up and do a run. So again, understanding that you may be in this phase and that you may feel a bit crappier during this time, you can be kinder to yourself. You also might notice that during this phase, you do crave more carbohydrates or more sweeter things. So during that time, if you could also be prepared for that, so then you could know during this time, I'm generally craving these things. So I'm going to have these, if you were looking for weight loss or something like that, you could have a better option available for you at that time, or you could have those things ready. So then you've got them there, and then you're not going to deny yourself of something and then crave it all day and then binge on it later. So how could you maximize your time during this phase? So you definitely should be prioritizing self-care. Like you could do manicures or at-home facials or little things like that. You could focus on the more mundane tasks that don't require a lot of deep thinking. It could be time to curl up on the couch, read a book, binge watch a new series. And like I said, be aware of your cravings. I would just, if you're feeling these things, you're roughy in this phase, I would just eat whatever you're craving, have it and move on, and don't feel guilty for it. Exercise wise, you again could know that you might not feel as energetic to be jumping around. So you could change your classes around and choose more lighter activities like yoga or Pilates, or instead of lifting a heavier weight, you could lift a lighter weight. So you could still be aware of where you are at hormonally and how that can affect you in the gym. You cannot feel guilty for or feeling that you're weaker or anything like that. You are just listening to your body. And this is what your body needs at the moment. And like I said before, I didn't think that I had a big cycle or any real changes. When I started tuning in, I remember one day Lee came home and he was like, "Why are you sitting on the couch?" And I was knackered, and I just knew that I needed to not push through it. I needed to just stop and listen to my body, and that's what I did. And I've definitely since I have been doing this, a lot more in tune and paying a lot more attention. I also, with this understanding now, I understand that for if we're looking at weight loss, the first 2 weeks of your cycle, you are in the best chance for weight loss. So those, if you were looking for weight loss, let's just use 2 weeks as a guide. Those 2 weeks, you are at the best chance for weight loss. So you're wanting to be as good as you can with your food, making sure that you're on top of all of that stuff, really getting your workouts in, getting those extra, trying to get those few more reps in, or lifting up the heavier weight, or, running that little bit further. So knowing that I'm in the best chance to get the best results I can during this phase. I'm going to work as hard as I can. I'm also feeling more energetic and better, so I know I can do it. And then knowing that in the next 2 phases, it is going to be a lot harder to lose weight during that time. I'm still going to try to be as good as I can, as I can with my food, but I'm also not going to beat myself up for not losing weight. I'm going to aim to maintain my weight during these 2 weeks because I know that it's really hard to lose weight. So if I maintain my weight during the second 2 weeks of your cycle, then I'm happy with that. Okay, so be as good as you can. Because you're out of the first 2 weeks, because you know that you're in the best chance hormonally to lose weight, and in the second 2 weeks, understand that it is a lot harder to lose weight in that time. So my goal is just to maintain my weight and to still make as good choices with food, but not beat myself up about it, not think that what I'm doing is not working. Just understand that this is my hormones that are affecting me at the moment, and when you get that understanding, you can be a lot kinder to yourself. And obviously I see people doing things and they think it's not working and they give up, and it is working. You just need to be consistent and stick with it. And it's just at this phase, it's just your hormones. So and sometimes I can be like, oh, that's why I've been craving that. Oh, okay, I get it. And then I just, like I said, like if you're craving something, just eat it. Just eat it and move on, instead of going, oh, I don't think I'm going to eat it. And then you put it off and you eat something else and you eat something else. You end up eating 10 other things, and you should have just eaten that first thing that you were craving to start off with. So that's how you can apply. I had a girl that she used to know that in those phases she would order food to get delivered in the rougher 2 weeks, because she knew she wanted to eat well, but she knew she wouldn't feel like preparing food. So she would get food ordered, like a delivery service. So then she was still sticking to her fitness goals, because she knew she wouldn't be motivated enough to cook food, so she could at least have food delivered that was going to still align with her goals. She also would know that she would also book into less classes, and she would, obviously change how she exercised during those phases. So the times where she was in the best chance hormonally, she would really ramp up her exercise and do well with that, do extra classes and know she could do it. And the times she was struggling a little bit hormonally, she would do less classes. Excuse me. So the last phase that I haven't spoken about yet is the secretory phase. So this is when your uterine lining produces chemicals. They either support the pregnancy, or they'll prepare the lining to break down if the shed of a pregnancy doesn't occur. So again, it is we are all individual, and all bodies are unique, and it's really crucial that you start to understand your body. You can understand it because you will mentally be able to get on with things a lot better if you don't think that you are failing, or you don't think that you think you're weak, or you can't understand why can I get to this point, and then I keep I keep sabotaging. Well, maybe it's your cycle, it's like that. Also, if you were jumping on the scales and you think, I've been doing so well that the scales have gone up. Well, the scales actually probably haven't gone up. You haven't increased your fat. You're just hormonally challenged at the moment, and you are maybe you're at whatever phase, and maybe you're about to get your period. And I know during when I'm due to get my period, I will weigh heavier. When I weigh myself, I try to weigh myself on the first day of my cycle. So if I weigh myself, I do a scan. If I do that on the first day of my cycle, then I know that I'm roughly at about the same phase hormonally. And that's what I say to people that do my classes and stuff. When we're getting a scan, we want to roughly know where you're at hormonally. So I just choose the first day of my cycle, so then I know I'm roughly hormonally in the same phase. So hopefully that has given you a bit of an understanding. Now, if you are someone that you don't have a regular cycle, I am going to ask you to write things down. So just start writing down any symptoms or anything that you have. Now, people tell me that they don't have a cycle, they can't work it out, but I guarantee you start writing it down in 2 months at least, you will notice something. You will notice a regular pattern. So start writing it down on a piece of paper, write it down in your phone, just write down any symptoms or how you're feeling, and then look at it and you will notice a pattern. I've been able to do it with everybody, and everybody that says that they don't have it, I've been able to work it out. And regardless of where you are at, so if you have, you've had a hysterectomy, you've in menopause, you've passed menopause, any of those things, you still get some form of a cycle. My 86-year-old gran still gets some form of a cycle. Okay, so you do too. So start to pay attention to it, and then adjust your lifestyle to suit. Adjust your lifestyle to suit so you can be kinder to yourself, so you can feel better. We don't have to feel crappy. The better understanding that you have of your body, you're gonna be able to get on with things, not beat yourself, and feel better. That's the aim for everything. All right, so make sure that if you have any other questions about this, send me a message. And if you have started to follow your cycle, write your cycle down and notice the differences, please tag me on, share this and tag me on social media and let me know how you go, because I would really, really love to hear. Okay, have a great day, guys. Thanks for listening to the Elliot's PT podcast. I hope you have been able to find this information of use to you. If you know someone who might enjoy this podcast, please share it with them. And ensure that you subscribe so you can be the first to know when new podcasts are released. If you have the time to leave a 5-star review, that would be amazing, and it would be greatly appreciated. If you do so, please screenshot and share onto any of our socials and tag us. Then email the screenshot to hello@elliotspt.com and we will send you a free gift to your inbox. Thanks so much. Have an amazing day. Speak soon.